Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana market update video. I hope you all are doing well. Happy FRIYAY. Hope you guys all had a good week and heading into a good weekend here. We've got quite a bit to get to, so we're gonna get right into it. We've got a lot of sealed stuff to look at today. We're gonna start with the first chapter, sealed booster box case, which is up to $1,100, guys. So we're starting to finally get some signs of what's going to happen when this thing dries up and how quick is it going to move. If you look back on the 10th yesterday, we had a couple sales at 847. My guess is that these were probably fake. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they were fake, because if you look at the 8th, we had 971, 900, almost 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, rough, give or take. And so we had a bunch of sales come in yesterday, 847. They could be real. They could also be someone, we've seen this quite a bit, where a TCG player store will come in and they'll list a bunch of product that they don't have for right under market. It'll sell quick, and then they'll just hope that they get the money out of TCG player. So regardless, cheapest box on the market right now, cheapest case is $1,100, which is very, very significant. That puts the price per box at like $260, $270. If you're going the case route, which I'm of the mindset, once again, that I think cases are going to hold a premium in the future, because the individual boxes, while they will still hold value, and I'm not here to poo-poo on individual boxes too much, I think that having the sealed case from the factory is going to get a multiplier on the price of the individual box. So like right now, if the price of an individual box is $250, you 4x that, you're at $1,000. I think in the future, in that example, a case is probably going to get like $1,300 or $1,400, just using that simple math, because the idea that in theory, you should pull one enchanted out of the case, and so that chase is kind of guaranteed at the case level. Now, look, there's no guarantee that you're going to get an enchanted in every case, but historically, many of us are around that 1 in 96 pull rate, and so that's going to give you your best bet to get it. And so I think that there's just going to be a little bit of a premium as these start to dry up and they become more of a collector's item. I think that there's going to be a premium on that sealed case of the individual booster boxes. Just a one-off there. The individual boxes right now are at $250, lowest on the market. We've had several sales around that point: $245, $249, $245, $245, $305, etc. I think right now we're just really, there's not a lot on the market, guys. You can see the listings here. The days of people having like 100 to sell and things like that in terms of at this price point are gone. You can see 4, 2, 2, 1, 3, 4, 20. I think on the second page there's one with a decent amount of listings. No, not even on the second page. So that 120 listing looks like it's the most. Yeah, it's the most by far. Every other listing is kind of like 4 or less right now. But I do want to remind you guys that we had, what was it, roughly like 4 to 6 weeks ago, we had our the most recent Amazon MSRP listing, and there were people that were able to get like 20-ish boxes. We've had multiple reports of people in the community that got 20 boxes of the first chapter, and those were shipping mid to late October. So I think as we get into the end of this month, we're going to be able to kind of see what impact that has on this particular listing, and if they're getting sealed cases, and are they getting individual boxes. Like, there's a lot to kind of be discovered there. But at the end of the day, I think that that's going to give us a really, really good insight on what this product's going to do long term. On the case side, if these people that got 20 boxes, for example, don't get 5 cases, and instead they get 5 or 20 individual booster boxes, once again, I think that premium for the cases is going to be there. If they do get cases, I think we're going to see a kind of back to historical norms of, does that price go to $900 for the case and a $220 for the box? I don't know, but there will absolutely be a dump onto the market, assuming that at least it gets fulfilled and these people got, once again, we have multiple people who I trust say that they got 20 boxes or more in some cases. And so I just think that that's going to have some short-term impact on the market. Now, when you look at the overall sales data, guys, I don't think that it's going to have any sort of long-term impacts. We look at these 3-day sample sizes or 3-day sets within this graph. You see 41 items, 37, 35, 30, 36, 45, etc., etc. Even recently, we're up to 35, and that's when the price is starting to escalate. 19, 20, 46, you get the point. There's an insane amount of volume here. So even if, let's say 400 boxes get sent out from this little mini listing, restock, whatever you want to call it. That's not going to have any sort of long-term impacts on the box or the price. It's going to move it down in the short term. Once again, I wouldn't be surprised if we got down to 220. It kind of depends on how much those people who got those boxes need to sell and want to sell, because at the end of the day, they paid $143.99 for the box. They got free shipping. If they had like Amazon rewards and they got cash back and things like that, their cost basis might even be sub 140 for a chapter box. So if they can list it for 220, take their free tendies and sell 20 boxes, that adds up pretty quick. And so it just kind of depends on what their path is and what their mindset is as they begin to unload these boxes. But just be on the lookout for that. I think that once this, I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Once this product dries up, it's going to escalate very, very quickly. The market is aware of what this box is in terms of a collector's piece and kind of this foundational piece of Lorcana. And so, if you're like me and you have some sealed and put away, I would advise keeping them there. This 250 price point, we're gonna go back down, and then it's gonna go past it eventually, right? Whenever that time comes, we don't know. But at the end of the day, that's kind of where I'm at with the first chapter. It's very exciting to see us kind of finally get back to this price point, 250 consistently, because every time before this, for the last, let's say 5 months, when we got to 240, a bunch of boxes got listed. People would come in, undercut it. They'd take their sales at 220, 230, it'd get up to 240, and it would happen again. It was kind of this vicious cycle every couple of weeks. And it seems like all of the people who are willing to sell at that price point is now gone. And so we're starting to see that floor of the box rise, which is pretty cool to see. And it, once again, it just speaks to the amount of the sell-through rate and the amount of demand that the market has for this particular box, which is really, really cool. Something equally as exciting that's happening in the sealed side of things. So this box actually just listed for set 2 Rise of the Floodborn. There's now a box available for 700. Previously, when I started recording, the lowest listing available was 900. I think this box this case of boxes being at 700 makes a ton of sense. You can see that there are a lot of sales around the $600 price point, but it's been bought out. So you can see on the 9th, someone bought 3, and then on the 9th, someone bought 4 for kind of that 560, 570, 580 price point. Now 800, the lowest on the market. I do think that we might be our 700 lowest on the market. I apologize. I think 700 is probably fair. We might see some listings come in under that. There are more, we look at this and in the entire TCG player market, there's only, 8 boxes listed in total. There's many more cases than 8 out there. So it's, advise, once again, be patient. This is something, and I mentioned it in my last video, kicking myself. I opened the 2 cases that I had because my cost basis was very low and I had more coming of what I thought were cases. They were not cases. They were individual booster boxes. And so I don't even have a sealed case of Rise of the Floodborn. And I had multiple cases of sealed Rise of the Floodborn for months. And I foolishly ordered from the Disney store in quantities of 4, thinking that I would get sealed cases. I did not. And so learn from my mistakes. Do not count your eggs before they hatch. And make sure, you keep your stuff sealed with, at least before you have the backup inventory in place. Opening the boxes paid off. I was very plus EV. I pulled Enchanted. It's like, it was still like a fine play. At the end of the day, if I could go back and keep them sealed, knowing I was going to get individual boxes, I would have. So once again, word to the wise. But overall, this product is drying up. I think from a collectability standpoint, this is one of the last set that doesn't have location, so you have no location enchanted pull chance, which is going to give it some increased collectability, in my opinion. You have 3 princesses in this box. You have the Alice, you have the Snow White, and then you have one of probably top 3 card for me in the entire Lorcana world of the Cinderella Ballroom Sensation from this set. I think it's going to be a fantastic collector's piece moving forward. Very hard to grade. Set 2, in my opinion, is the least printed set, and so there's just so much going for Rise of the Floodborn, and I think we're starting to kind of see it dry up. And once again, I know everyone who watches my videos hates the word reprint and restock, and we just want to act like that's never going to happen again, and it may not, but it also may. And so I think we're at that point for Rise of the Floodborn where we're talking about 5 cases in total listed on TCG Player. That's an insanely low amount for a set that's been out for less than a year. Like, we're not even a year into set 2, guys, and there's already only 5 listed on TCG Player. That's astonishing. And so when you start to think about, like, we're not even a year in, so many of these cards are so heavily playable, especially if you're playing Amethyst. You need your Foxes, you need your Rabbits. There's so many cards in this set that are very, very playable, and the players need to be able to get their hands on them. And so obviously they have new sets coming out, and the meta's constantly changing and things like that. But cards like, you know, Fox and Rabbit, although a card came out today that maybe is Rabbit on steroids, you just have to kind of see how they maneuver that. But at the end of the day, listings are getting very low. Even when you look at the individual booster boxes, we're talking 160, so we're far past MSRP now. And we do not have a ton of availability here either. 15 listings in total. Now, what I'll say is there are some boxes here, and I think this is due to the Disney Store. I think a lot of people probably fell victim to the same thing I did. You look at the cases, and you know, people are listing 1, and there's only 5 of them. You look at the individual boxes, you see people have 8, 4, 5, 13. So there's just a lot more individual boxes available rather than cases, which is pretty common, but it's kind of exacerbated here. But once again, Rise of the Floodborn on the move, 160. Even just a few months ago, guys, this box was down in the 120s, 130s. It's been going up steadily over time. And now, you know, you're looking at, what is this, the 26, so not even 2 months ago, one sold for 130. But once again, patience is rewarded. We had a box for 918. Once again, just a couple weeks ago for 128. Now at 160. So definitely starting to dry up. Obviously, a ton of playability. I think EV for that box is still around like 110. Last I checked, in terms of expected value. But overall, we're just starting to see some really, really cool trends of demand outpacing supply. And so now that those shortages are occurring and we're seeing the prices spike because of it. And so now we're kind of at that influx of, obviously we know the first chapter, we know some increased supply are coming from Ravensburger there. Is that going to carry over to Floodborn? Is it not? We never got any sort of official word on if Floodborn was reprinted. I'm of the understanding that it definitely hasn't been thus far. I think they would have told us if it was. And so there's no reason to really expect some huge significant influx apart from just people who are holding it, going on and listing it. And so that leads itself to some pretty exciting things ahead. Apart from that, on the sealed front, guys, nothing too crazy other than really the first 2 sets. We're starting to kind of hit that year plus mark or getting close to it of being out and being out of cycle and out of print. And you know, let's see what happens moving forward. So very, very exciting times on the sealed front. We have not seen much movement on the D23 box since our last video. 321, lowest listing on the market. That's what it was whenever we looked at it. Seals have kind of started to dry up as we had this huge demand craze when this product first came out. We're now starting to see that demand die off. Maybe it's going to more of the sealed stuff for like set 1, set 2, individual cards, etc. This is going to be a very exciting time to see with this box. 321 has been holding strong for the last couple of days despite no sales. Does, you know, Tron, Canna, and Board Modi and some of these sellers, are they willing to go back down to that 200 price point where it would probably sell kind of instantly? So exciting times ahead on the D23 box. Maybe some cheaper prices in the future for us to be able to go out and pick them up. And friendly reminder, guys, make sure to go to eBay if you are looking to purchase, you know, you want your sealed case, the first chapter, or set 2, or your D23 collection box. Make sure to check eBay. Depending on where you're located out in the world, and just the availability on eBay, it's always a little bit different. Sometimes things are more expensive. Sometimes things are a little bit cheaper. D23 box has been one that has definitely had cheaper prices on eBay. So just friendly reminder, if you're in the market, to not forget to check eBay. With that being said, guys, on the individual card front, things have been, I'm on like the 3rd page. I was like, what am I filtered to here? I'm seeing a bunch of Inkland stuff. Things have been pretty consistent on the card front. We have seen a little bit of downturns, I guess, or retraces, which you would expect. For example, Tinkerbell, there's no longer listings that are only above 400. We've seen several people come in at 350, 375, 389, which I think is much more reasonable. We did have a sell at 409 though, right? So the price was justified. Someone was willing to pay it in theory. And now we're back down to 350, which I think is a little bit more fair for an Enchanted from the first set that is incredibly playable. Mufasa continues to remain incredibly consistent. For the most recent set, guys, there's only 16 on the market. I think that speaks to the collectability of this card, the playability of this card. There's just not a lot. There's with the people that pull it, the people that have bought it are holding on to it. 16 on the market for a current set. That the EV of the box is going down pretty dramatically. Last we looked at it, the expected value of Shimmering Skies was only a couple dollars above Ursula's return. Now, part of that is due to Ursula's return spiking because of the increased play from our buddy Diablo and Green Steel. But at the end of the day, Mufasa is holding very, very strong from a new set, which is really cool to see, right? It's holding up there. It's the fifth card when you look at market price, and obviously that's not truthfully accurate because you look at like the Tinkerbell, the Maui, the Stitch have listings close to or higher than that card. So we're dealing with a little bit of lag from TCG player per usual, but the card is remaining very, very strong. And a set that's remaining very, very strong in its own right is Into the Inklings. So from a collectability standpoint, that set does have the enchanted locations, which I think does, turn down the excitement a little bit when we think forward and opening and things like that. The idea of pulling an enchanted, like Cusco's Palace or something like that, obviously is not near as hype as like pulling the worst card in set 2 or set 1. Are you pulling a Hades or an Aladdin or set 2? What a guy, I guess Pete, poor Pete, the redheaded stepchild. So set 2, you still have some bad pulls, but obviously locations are kind of the kryptonite of all enchanted pools. But set 3 overall, Into the Inklings has remained very, very strong. And part of that is like some of the really cool enchantments, like Along Came Zeus, very playable. Just some awesome art. We also have Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood in that set. You have Ursula. So some really cool staples in that set that have remained really consistent and has kept the expected value of Into the Inklings very, very high. I think last we checked, it was around 105, which was right below Rise of the Floodborn. And so Into the Inklings holding very, very strong when you look at the other sets that have came out more recently, like Ursula's Return and Shimmering Skies. They're in the 80s for expected value out of those boxes. Into the Inklings staying very strong at above 100. So that set in its own right is staying very, very popular and maintaining its value, which is cool because so many of those boxes, like if you guys have been around for a while, you remember the Amazon dumps of like the Alpha Investments and Rudy made of those boxes. They were on sale for Amazon at like 87, I think. Whenever the box on TCG Player was like still like 110 or so. And so there was all this, kind of craze in the market of like this product's, worthless and $87 and overprinted, blah, blah, blah. And it's just held incredibly strong. So shout out to Into the Inklings and its ability to sustain. Apart from that, guys, the Mirabelle, I think it's still around $50. I think that card's going to continue to go down. I think that card has sparked some interesting conversation online, which we'll kind of get into. And I think that there's a lot of overreaction happening here in our little Lorcana space. With that being said, guys, that's all for the individual cards and things like that, the sealed cases. I really want to talk about sealed today because we're seeing that really, really, really dry up. And I think some exciting times are ahead there. I did want to put you guys on this seller here, Ravens TCG. If you guys remember from last week, we talked about Lorcana Champ. This is them with a new name, same exact feedback, same feedback rating, still selling fake cards. So last night, a listing ended with a D23 first edition Rockstar Stitch, set Champs Rockstar Stitch, set Champs Ursula's Return. It ended at 1,000, which speaks to the fact that most of the market knew that they were fake. When I checked on this last night before it ended, it had like 250 watchers. I think the majority of them knew that these were fake because the D23 Stitch alone is like a $1,500 or $2,000 card, and then you obviously have the set Champs cards in there as well. Sold at 1,000 because it is fake and they are not real. So just be on the lookout for the seller. They have multiple other listings live right now. It seems like they like to fake the stitches. I don't know what it is about Stitch, but they really like to fake the stitches. They've got listing here. They even have some Aladdin Genie, Maui's, Prince Naveen's, Clarabelle's, Beast. And some of these might be real. Some of them might not. I truly don't know. I just want to make you guys aware that Some of the enchantments are blatantly fake, and they are a known scammer based on some of the feedback we've gotten within the community. So just a heads up on that one. Don't fall for any of their auctions. Once again, I don't know if like the Naveen's, the Clarabelle, the Beast, those might be real. I don't know. I would just avoid the seller in its entirety. I would buy your cards elsewhere and just make sure that you're getting some good quality cards that are not proxies, fakes, etc. Something that Victoria sent me in the Discord that I just thought was really cool. GameStop has been like this like meme since COVID of like, obviously you had like the Roaring Kitty and they made that movie about it, and this, you know, all the Wall Street shenanigans that went on with shutting down the stock market and saving the venture capitalists and all the corruption and collusion. They've really turned the corner, GameStop has, and they're going full out on TCG. So if you remember, they started doing the PSA submission service and the PSA graded card buying. And they were actually offering some very fair prices. A lot of us that have, like, for example, like sold games to GameStop over the years, like back in like middle school and high school, they used to rob you blind. They would give you like a nickel for a game. And to be fair, there wasn't a huge demand for that game, but it's just like, it wasn't even worth the gas to go there because the prices they were offering you for so much of the stuff was just useless. But with what they're doing now, it seems like with the PSA graded cards they were buying, a lot of the prices were very fair, some not as much, but I was optimistic with how that ended. Now they're going full trading card games. So you can see this wall here, Pokemon products, which is awesome. Let me mute the audio here. But you can see all the blisters, all the collection boxes, they got some Lorcana there. The ETBs, like, this is just really, really cool. It's a cool display. I mean, this looks like an LGS, and this is GameStop, right? So this isn't even someone who's historically been a big player in the TCG world, is starting to really grow and start to expand. I think just the more TCGs in these retailers and in these places that people are going to be going, just speaks to kind of the trend that trading card games have right now and the overall growth and expansion that's available. I wish, just as a collector, I wish that some of these boxes, I hope that Ravensburger does something similar to like these collection boxes or specific character boxes. I know we have the Stitch collector's box that's going to be coming out with Azurite Sea, which is really, really cool. So they're taking that step in that direction. I just hope we continue to see that, just to have some different products for us collectors. And, you know, booster boxes are fun, and that's where you're getting your best bang for your buck and price per pack and things like that. Obviously, you need booster boxes. I just hope there's some more one-off ancillary products where, you know, from someone like myself, who I'm always looking at the value and trying to, you know, be very conscious of what I'm opening and where I'm spending my money to get the best bang for my buck. I would be willing to pay a little bit higher price per pack for, you know, a collection box that maybe I'm not going to get as much value, but get some cool cards, something like that. I just hope they continue to evolve, which I think they will. But I hope they continue to evolve in the future. But shout out to GameStop for this awesome display of Pokemon cards. There are I guess, their entire trading card game selection, right, with a little bit of Lorcana there. And then in addition, guys, I think that there's rumors that they're going to start collecting submissions and gathering submissions and you being able to submit through GameStop to send to PSA to get cards graded. So it kind of goes hand in hand with their graded card buying service. They're also going to be submitting cards. Now, look, who knows how that's going to shake out and the fluidity of it and how well it's ran and whatnot. But GameStop's been doing a lot of impressive stuff, and I just love to see the growth of trading card games and the displays here. I mean, it literally looks like an LGS in there, which is really, really cool for a store that people are historically going in for actual video games, getting this exposure to the trading card game world. So shout out to GameStop. We're already 23 minutes in, guys. We've got a couple more things that I want to just point out or chat on, more or less put you guys on them so you can go take a look, because I think it's very, there's been a lot of interesting conversation around them. So Tia Boyson, I apologize if I butchered that. She is a content creator, online person, 16,000 followers on Twitter. Now look, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not familiar with her content. I do not know her. I have not indulged in any of the content that she's provided. From my understanding, is she's Mr. Beast's girlfriend, and she is very into, or was very into, Lorcana. It seems like it's kind of spoiled on her because she used to run some tournaments with some prizing and things like that she casted, that Ravensburger essentially put the nix on, or Disney said, hey, you can no longer do this. It's not an officially sanctioned event, and that kind of burned her, which I get. I mean, she was doing something cool by herself, offering prize money, casting it, doing all the production. Like, she was doing something by herself. Ravensburger said, hey, kind of similar to like Pixelborn in the case of Pavel, saying like, hey, you put together this online client. It grew the game exponentially, but too bad, that's done now. Similar story here, I think, just on the online tournament side of things. And she's kind of burnt out. So I guess someone asked her like, hey, are you going to cast any of the DLC events, etc.? She said, hey, I would love to cast it. As it stands, other TCGs are being incredibly welcoming and providing me with so many cool opportunities for making content and playing their games. I miss casting and having a very close relationship with the game devs. I tend to put 110% in when I commit to a game and just can't justify doing that anymore with Lorcana. I hope you all understand. So this was posted 2 days ago, basically saying like, I read it as, hey, I put in a lot of work to this. It wasn't reciprocated, and so I'm moving on to other things, which, once again, fair play to her if that's what she does. I do think it's a little bit self-serving as like a content creator. If you're only, if you only like Lorcana and you're only into it for creating this content, and if you don't get like special privileges and backing from Ravensburger, then you're out. I think that's a little bit self-serving, and it kind of speaks to the intentions of like really just here to maybe monetize it, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know her from anyone on the street. I've never indulged in her content. She could be a great person. And look, if she's got business opportunities in other TCGs, like some people are reaching out here, this A Drive handle, they were talking about, they're working with Pavel and Pixelborn on a game called Elestrals, yeah. And she's like diving into it. So look, fair play to her if she wants to go out and explore other trading card games. But what I thought was cool is that Citizens of Lorcana retweeted it, said, agree or disagree, is Disney Lorcana not being handled well? And this is where a ton of discourse happened. You see there's 55 replies. It got a ton of engagement. And there were some people with some unfair criticisms, some fair criticisms. I think Mr. Den here, who is, he's won DLC events in both Europe and NA. So he's like a Lorcana god. He's, he's qualified for Continentals on both continents, which I think he's the only player to do so. But he's got some really good criticisms here of what he thinks could increase participation and just things that Ravensburger needs to kind of check off their list. I think most of what he says is very, very fair, and I appreciate him as someone who's very in depth and entrenched in the game, participating in both NA and EU, and he's won these Mickeys, and he's as deep as anyone really in Lorcana, and he's got some really, really specific requests, which I think are great. Some people, a lot of feedback, just like online client dead, Lorcana dead, like all the Pixelborn drama that happened many, many moons ago. If you were not around, Pixelborn was an online client that was made from an unofficial, they weren't associated with Ravensburger. His name's Pavel. It was a great client. It worked beautifully. But it was not a Disney or Ravensburger sanctioned client, and so it did end up getting shut down. That Pixelborn grew the game tremendously. You could literally just download it, go on and start playing. You didn't have to have any of the cards. It was a great growth engine for the game. It has since been shut down. When it was shut down, there was a lot of people who were saying that this was going to be the end of Lorcana and Lorcana's dead, and like the sentiment around Pixelborn being shut down, like it was unbearable on Twitter. Like people are so short-sighted when stuff like this happens. They had the pitchforks out. Obviously, Lorcana's continued to grow. It's much bigger than a unofficial online client being shut down. Now that client was huge. It was growing the game. I'm not here to diminish what it was doing, but it was never going to kill the game being shut down. But I think Den has a lot of really constructive feedback there. But more or less, I just wanted to show you guys this thread and show you kind of there's a lot of good feedback, some not good feedback, and I think it's just I had a good time reading it and looking through all the feedback. So that is on Citizens of Lorcana. C of Lorcana on Twitter. They do all sorts of Lorcana stuff. They're awesome. They're probably the biggest, I guess, content creator within Lorcana, and they do a lot of really cool work, and they're just a good follow on Twitter overall. Highly recommend. There were some interesting sentiments on being retweeted here, like this Cardboard Castle person said. Shout out to the name Cardboard Castle. I don't want to sound harsh, but the general vibe I've gotten from a lot of content creators lately has been, I'm upset that I haven't gotten special treatment for doing this. This is kind of the vibe that I got from the original poster of like, hey, Lorcana's not rewarding me for making content, so I'm moving on to other games. Like, you know, I'm kind of like open for hire if anyone wants to reach out. Like, I'd love to partner with you and make content. That's kind of the vibe that I get as well. That could be misspaced, but that's kind of the vibe that I've gotten. And then Lorcana Thanos here said, "Preach. Thank you for saying this. Being a content creator is about what you get out of it. I do not. I do it for the love of the game, and that's it. I mean, if I get picked for a set 6 reveal, will I take it? Duh. But I don't expect anything to be handed to me from Ravensburger. That's exactly how I am. Like, I'm not making this to get special treatment from Ravensburger or anything like that. I just really, really, really enjoy collecting. I love sharing that experience with you guys, and it's." There was no one, before I started doing this, there was no one really talking about collecting in the market, and just like everyone, most of the 99% of the people in Lorcana, it seemed like, were players, and no one was really talking about like, what cool cards do you have? What art do you enjoy? What are your goals? Like, no one is really talking about that stuff, and that's why I created this channel, because I wanted to have this environment where you could do that, and we set up the Discord, and people are sharing their art, and the cards that they like, etc. And that's why I did it. And so, like, for the love of the game for me is just sharing that experience with you guys. I've never had any official communications with Ravensburger. Obviously, I'm a nobody. I totally get that. I don't expect that. But for me, as someone who is creating content and has no expectations of, you know, I'm not reaching out to Ravensburger to partner with them. Now I don't move the needle near as much as a lot of these other people, right? So that's a key difference. But it seems self-serving. The people are getting upset, and you see a lot of like burnout and things like that. And I think that just happens when you know, you're not passionate about it, you don't like what you're doing, it's gonna become a chore. And thankfully for me, I still love making these videos and chatting with you guys, and you know, my time's limited more days than others, and can't get out content, got to work, provide for the fam, you know, etc. But at the end of the day, I'm having a great time, and I agree with Cardboard Castle and Lorcana Thanos here. I feel like sometimes you see these content creators get mad because they're not getting the special treatment, when at the end of the day, it's you know, it's for the love of the game. Now, Citizens of Lorcana does point out, like, hey, I don't know how we got to like bashing on content creators. Like, that wasn't the original point of this post, and so I do want to bring you back to the original post. Agree or disagree? Is Disney Lorcana not being handled well? And then read through some of the feedback. Overall, I think we're a year in. I think they've done an amazing job. I think the runway and the path forward, they've got a lot of growth. I think, like I said, Din pointed out a lot of really, really good things there that would help the game grow and just help the forward path of Lorcana. But I think they've built up enough runway to where they can start to figure some of these things out. We're a year in, guys. It's a brand new trading card game. Like that, the amount of things that they've built, gone to market with, and like grown in this time frame is insane. And so look, if they have to take a step back to take a couple steps forward, I'll be here for it. At the end of the day, I think they're doing a fantastic job overall. They could be doing better, but I truthfully think they've killed it. They've killed it for the first year. So with that being said, guys, a little 33-minute banger. Thank you to all who have been around. And I've been thinking about this for a while. Look, if you made it thus far, you're clearly, you know, rocking with me. I'm at 1,000 subscribers now on YouTube, which, if you don't know, I didn't know this, but I knew a few months ago, but I didn't know this when I created my YouTube channel. When you get to 1,000 subscribers, you can start getting ad revenue. So I've never made $1 from running this channel, which is completely fine. I don't know, that sounded weird, but I will begin running ads now that I'm at 1,000 subscribers. And so in theory, I might make like $1 or $2 for a video. Who knows? I have no clue what that dollar amount is going to be. But I do just want to thank you guys for rocking with me, joining the Discord, sharing your collection. That's why I made this channel, and it's been a raving success in my opinion. And so I do want to do some sort of like giveaway, but I don't want to do like a video that's going to like farm engagement for a giveaway. So do me this favor, comment on this video your favorite card, your favorite art. It could be a common, uncommon, enchanted, right? Whatever. Does have to be your most valuable card. What's your favorite card in your collection that you have in your binder, you have in your graded collection, whatever it is? What is your favorite card? Comment it down below. I will do a box opening. I'm not sure what set yet. I'll buy a booster box. I will open it, and then I will do a random like picker from this video, from the people that commented their favorite card in their collection, and then I will get everything. I'll coordinate with you to get everything from that box mailed out. So that we'll do a booster box giveaway. Essentially, I'll open it on the channel. I'll do a video thanking everyone. That will not, once again, that will not be the farm engagement. This video is going to serve as the selection process to enter that giveaway. So with that being said, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It's been a crazy, 6 months or whatever of this channel. It's grown exponentially. I would have never expected it. Thank you very much for rocking with me. Hope you all have an amazing weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.